That's some good water. So you're going to boarding school, or you're in boarding school. Sucked in. No, just kidding. Spoiler alert, boarding school fucking sucks. There's a common misconception that your parents don't love you if they send you to boarding school. You'll know if your parents don't love you. Here's 5 tips on how to survive. Tip number 5 is this might sound a bit controversial, but actually stay in on the weekends. If you live about 3 hours, 2 hours or more away from your boarding school, the temptation will be to go home on weekends. I understand people are international boarders, however this is more for like domestic boarders. Whenever you go back to boarding school from a weekend, Monday sucks, Tuesday sucks, and Wednesday you kind of get into a routine, you get used to it, and by Thursday, Friday you'll notice, at least with me, you actually start to get in the groove of things in boarding school. As soon as you leave on a Friday night to go back home, when you have all your freedoms, you're allowed to do whatever you want back at home, your parents love you, unlike the teachers and people who work at the boarding house, you remember how good you have it at home, and it just makes going back to boarding school harder. Plus as well, if you're in a study routine, like if you're in the later years of school, it really, 4 hours or 6 hours for me, really does take a large chunk out of your weekend when it comes to travelling. And that's fine every now and again, but once you're doing it every week, it just becomes very problematic. Of course, you want to keep seeing your parents if you want to. I mean, you can always FaceTime them for an hour or this or that, and they should be supportive if they're sending you there. It just makes getting back to boarding school a lot harder and readapting. If you stay in on the weekends, what you'll notice is that the weekends will always feel longer at the boarding house than back at home. They will always feel longer because there's less to do in a boarding house, but that's exactly the point. You want the weekends to feel long so that once Monday rolls around, you actually look forward to going to school because the boarding house is just batshit boring. And you can find productive stuff to do in those weekends, and you can find fun stuff to do as well if you're just in Year 7 or Year 8. I'd recommend staying in on weekends because it just makes it a lot less painful to... I understand that's very difficult, but the more you stay in on weekends, the more you can get along with your friends in the boarding house, the more you get used to the routine, you become institutionalized for better or for worse. It makes going home even more enjoyable. Like I said, I understand this is a big thing to ask, but trust me, it'll just make things easier long term. Step 2, buy noise cancelling headphones. These things that you can just turn on, they will just, on my 11th birthday, I asked for a pair, and they are just the best. Now, if you're in an all-boys boarding house like I was, people will try and yell at you with noise cancelling headphones on, but that only happens every now and again. If you're in an all-boys boarding school like I was and you put on noise-cancelling headphones, people will just yell at you to see if the noise-cancelling headphones actually work. Guess what? If you yell at someone with noise-cancelling headphones, they can still hear it. But just in general, they are so good because it gets noisy in a boarding house, whether it's a boys or a girls boarding house. It will always get noisy. You will always have a noisy roommate. At least not now, you will in the future. Noise cancelling headphones just work. For studying, it gets you in the zone. And then even at uni and in a library, they are just, you have to buy a pair of noise cancelling headphones. I would also add, I don't have them here with me, I'll put them up on the screen, but ask your dad to go to a home timber and hardware store like Bunnings and just buy all those sound cancelling little foam things that you put in your ear. Just stack up on those. Get used to sleeping with those because it'll just make sleeping so much easier if you're in a really loud boarding house like I was. You get used to it pretty quickly and it'll just do you wonders. Okay, third tip. This third tip's more for introverts, but I think the rule still applies. Just stick to your year group. You'll probably hear that you'll want to integrate, get to know all the other members of the boarding house. Yeah, that's cool, but also older years hate it when younger years try and suck up to them or try and challenge their authority. just stay in your lane. You will not make enemies if you do this, and it's just really respectful if you respect the years above. If you it can be tough, but as long as you don't cause any problems for the years above, you'll find that you'll have less trouble going forward. Stick to your year group. Don't harass anyone in younger years because you can. It's just, don't do it. Yeah, just be respectful of other years, and then just keep to your own group. You'll notice that it'll be pretty easy, and that way, if older years want to talk to you, they can, and you just be nice, you be talkative, whatever, but you be respectful, and you'll probably find that you make friends with them way easier than if you actually tried to hang out with them. It can be very annoying if you're in a group of mates and some kid from a year below wants to be mates with you. It's like, f*** off, you little shit. Fourth tip, immerse yourself in school. Now, you'll notice when you go to boarding school that it feels like the school owns you. It feels like an authoritarian dictatorship.
Where the headmaster is the dictator and you're just a peasant.
And that's true. Now, to combat this, you have to go with the system. You have to go with the system. That's just going to make it a lot easier. If you're trying to break the rules in a boarding house, if you're trying to go against what the teachers say, if you're not doing work when it's study time, and the teachers catch you out and you're playing games or whatever, it just makes the experience, you're going to hate it. You're going to hate boarding school. If you don't want to like boarding school, stop watching this video. It just makes life so much harder. Just do what the teachers say. You might not like them, I didn't like them, but just do what they say, because it just makes, as soon as a teacher in a boarding house gets your trust, it's a lot easier to then let them bend the rules once they know that there's an initial piece of trust than trying to fight them from the early stages, where then it takes more effort to then build their trust. It just do what they say. Become institutionalized. Immerse yourself in schoolwork. Find things you're passionate in school, whether that's sport, whether that's academics, whether that's just mates. Just find that niche that you like and focus on it in boarding school. Don't try and make sure whatever that niche is, it stays within the confines of the rules of the school, because otherwise you're just going to have a bad time. And finally is to stay calm. Now, this is extremely hard. You know how mindfulness helps you relax? I do that every day now. In boarding school, you know how hard it is to find the time to meditate? It's ridiculous. You really have to just wake up maybe 30 minutes earlier than you normally would and just meditate in bed without falling asleep. But just find ways to stay calm, because every day is going to be a punish. And I think what makes it extra hard is just being away from your parents. You really have to fight for yourself. There's nobody to defend you. You really have to look out for yourself. Now, if you are comfortable with yourself, if you are happy with who you are as a person, you have to relax. You have to keep a clear-headed mind. If you get teased or whatever, you have to make sure that you stay calm. You can come up with a good comeback. It's very hard to stay on guard all the time, and you're probably not going to be, but just know people come from different backgrounds. Everyone's going to piss you off. Know that everyone's going to piss you off. Just find a way to stay calm, be respectful, because chances are you piss off everyone else as well. Or maybe I just suck. Obviously you're going to make friends in boarding school, and that's the fun part, but I'm just more talking about the stuff most people don't talk about with boarding school. Yeah, be calm, be clear-headed, because it is a rough time, and I think you want to reinforce your mental strength. This is a time where you can really become a really mentally strong person. When you're separated from your parents at a very young age, you really have the opportunity in boarding school to become an independent person way earlier than most other kids your age, and you really have to carve out your identity early on. And I think part of that is you should try and make sure that you are a robust mentally fit person. But yeah, and in order to do that, you have to make sure that you are at a level head. Anyway, that's my tips. I hope they help. If you'd like to hear more tips, then just hit me up. I hope you enjoy boarding school, because I know, no, just kidding, I didn't, but I think if I'd known these things from the very start, I think my boarding school experience would have been a lot smoother, so enjoy.